Today is December 25th, 2022. I have been on this long journey to move towards becoming a consistently profitable day trader. I have now come to the bridge where I must cross to categorize setups. Now I will label the setups that I see and explore the avenues of setups. What I foresee is what I foresee is the most common type of setups and categorize it and then describe each component of it, each of the setups, and then expand upon the possibility of each of the setups and how I can trade it. So essentially, it is a it is essentially a tool set that I would use if I was in a garage and the market is the car and maintaining certain components of that car to develop a solution to extract gains from the market. It has occurred to me that professional day traders have a concrete definition of what certain things are. So when a essentially there's a little music concerning the components of a human's bone structure anatomy, which is knee bone is connected to the certain bones, and hip bone is connected to certain bones, and then the backbone is connected to the hip bones, and the backbone is connected to the rib cage, and the shoulder, and also the shoulder is connected to the clavicle, and the clavicle is connected with the neck bones, and the arm bones are connected to finger bones, and all that stuff. It happens in a sequential manner. So what I liken this awakening is quite fantastic. It's quite fantastic in describing what these individuals are aware of and what kind of setups they are. And because these moves occur in a prolonged period of time, and so there is truly speaking, there is a thing called scalping. Obviously, scalping cannot be competed in the scope of uh, the high frequency trading, right? And so, in order to compete in that space, I would have to be incredibly fast and incredibly fast in recognition to be placed in a situation where I could be ahead of the major move that occurs uh, upon recognition of a high frequency setup. That is an area where I cannot compete. But but I can compete in other areas where uh, the liberal amounts of time is required for me to react to certain setups, and that occurs uh, when a particular structure is identified and categorized such that I can essentially it is essentially see, stock selection will occur based on recognition of a particular setup, and it can happen to any stock that is out there, any stock, and any event will create a certain scenario and certain behavior based on the expected results. Um, the categorization of looking at these very profound setups right now, it's extremely profound, and the reason why I say it's extremely profound is, for instance, post earnings play. Pre earnings play is, I do not want to get into that. I do not want to be within in that type of situation because um, there's plenty of opportunity to make money on the other side, not on the front side. Because if I were to be consistently making money on the front side of a earnings report, then that would create scrutiny from the Securities and Exchange Commission, and that's something that I want to avoid with a 10-foot pole. So what that means is that post earnings, then based on the numbers and guidance, then it's going to behave in a certain way with the expected interactions that are happening with a micro and a macro economy and overall sector analysis of what's happening. When these things are aligned, then based on the guidance of the stock and based on the earnings report of its earnings based on its estimates, then the estimates essentially provide uh, a situation where the stock price reflects what the estimates are. However, there is a dramatic and dynamic change that occurs if and when the earnings results differ in a drastic manner, either on the upside or the downside, added to the fact that there will be guidance that will also influence the movement of the stock. Which means that so I would, if I were to label that particular trading setup, it would be earnings setup. Okay, it would be some sort of a definition of clearly defining what that particular setup is. And earnings occur every quarter for each of the stocks, and there are thousands of stocks, and there are enormous amount of people who are looking at that and taking advantage of that particular setup as well. So that would be categorized as a one setup that I could delve into and become a specialist at it. That, however, happens not too often because we're still talking about a quarterly report as well, and certain stocks don't move very much because of the volume of trades that occur, and so there is a limited sample. So big companies within that scope, out of thousands of stocks that are out there, are a handful of stocks that behave that way, and the price of the stock is low enough such that when a small account is attempting to make dramatic recoveries from that, then it will be very difficult to make significant gains playing that type of a setup. So that is one categorization of of exploring the setups that are out there. There are other setups that are out there, like playing the dip and rip. That's a dip and rip, or up and down, rip and dip, kind of a dip and rip kind of a setup that's out there. And exploring that is another avenue of becoming incredibly. And professional day traders talk about pick one setup and become an expert at it, and then after becoming an expert at it, then adding another setup is just essentially a matter of exploring the avenues of that particular setup, because everything else has been all created and surrounded that allows an individual who is aware of that particular setup to take what exists and bring it over to the next setup and take care of it from that side as well. So I'm incredibly excited. I am so fortunate that you know, I was on YouTube today. I was on Facebook today, and I now follow a West Side, a drive-in restaurant entity, which is on Facebook. And one of the lines says, "Welcome to West Side Drive-In family," right? So essentially, what I did was I essentially eradicated my own DNA. My own DNA of children have disappeared. My ex-wife has also disappeared as well, and for the second time. And then Now I found, now I see the reason why, even though I'm so deficient, I'm still employed at Westside Drive-In. And so there is, now I see why the place is so special. Now I see why, uh, now I see why if I were to work at, I'm not picking on Amazon, but I mean, I heard they hire robots instead of human beings. So if I were to work there, there would be uh, at least a couple of reasons why. One of them is the robot will take my place, and the second part is my introvertedness will automatically just, you know, um, so I am fortunate in that respects. Um, Now, spending time and discovering and analyzing essentially is now, in day trading, is understanding the intricacies of each of the setups and employing those setups to take advantage of the market conditions. That's it. Day trading is that. It took like 17 months for to actively studying and get to this point. In a nutshell of day trading, essentially is this. Okay, become very familiar with so become very familiar with the setup, one setup. Know everything about it. Know how to recognize it. First of all, know how to recognize it. Know how to trade it. Okay. Know how to trade it is complex. Okay. By the way, trade means complex. So know when to get in. Know when to get out. Know when to hold. Just like um, the gambler in Kenny Rogers' song, right? Know when to hold 'em, right? Something like that, right? So there are professionals who talk about the significance of becoming uh, uh, a master, becoming a master at a single thing. And once I become a master of that one thing, that can be taken over to others and replicated so that when I look at a particular stock, today I would look at the series of selections that I would use and then say, ah, it's this one. I take it out of the slot, out of my memory and experience, and I apply it to that stock. And then I would play it out. And statistically speaking, I have a significant advantage because, first of all, I recognize it. And the odds of me winning on that trade is higher because I have the preparation work. Because all the work that I have created essentially is like an apple hanging from a tree. And an apple hangs from a little stem. That apple is recognizing that setup, and it brings on this whole morsel of deliciousness within the trading world to explode and take advantage of that particular situation and take advantage of that particular trade. That's how day trading works.